I knew we were finished the moment I walked back from a client site and found a stranger filming TikTok videos from my desk. The desk where I'd spent 19 years building a $520 million empire they were about to sell to the highest bidder. She didn't even look up when I walked in, just kept adjusting her ring light, practicing her influencer smile, her Louboutins, red soled, probably cost more than my truck, planted on my keyboard like it was a footrest at a country club. Then she hit post, CEO things, finally running this empire. That's when I knew, not suspected, knew. She'd just activated the clause I'd buried in the acquisition contract 3 months ago, the one nobody read, the one that would cost them everything. My name's Neil Patterson. I'm 52. 19 years turning a third-rate warehouse tracking system into the logistics platform that half the industry runs on. I've seen every flavor of executive incompetence, the empty suit, the idea thief, the visionary who couldn't work a stapler without a tutorial. But Brianna Caldwell was something new. She wasn't pretending to be competent. She was flaunting her ignorance like it came with stock options. I wasn't mad. I was calm. The kind of calm that comes from knowing you already set the trap. Clause 7, page 46, buried under acquisition. Boilerplate nobody reads at 2 in the morning except me. Any instance of reputational harm, misrepresentation of executive access, or breach of confidentiality by an employee or associated party may result in immediate contract termination at the buyer's sole discretion. Brianna had just publicly declared she was running the place. From my desk. On day 1 of the acquisition, time-stamped, geotagged, on the company network. I don't argue, I document. I didn't say a word to her. Just walked to the copy room, printed the acquisition packet I'd memorized 3 months ago, highlighted Clause 7 in pink, and slid it into an envelope. One sticky note. Per clause referenced. See attached. Then I attached the screenshot. Her face. That caption. Location tag and timestamp. Sent it to legal. CC'd no one. BCC'd everyone. Walked back and packed one box. My dog's photo, a USB drive with every system architecture I'd ever built, my coffee mug that said, I survived another meeting that could have been an email, left my badge on her new desk. She didn't notice. HR waved as I walked out, taking a half day, something like that. They didn't know, nobody did. But systems always log who's at the console when the detonation button gets pushed, and Brianna had just leaned all the way in. 3 months earlier, when acquisition talks started, I'd seen it coming. Patricia Caldwell as the new CEO, former VP at some consulting firm, good at PowerPoint, better at networking. The board loved her vision. What she had was a 24-year-old daughter with 200,000 TikTok followers and zero understanding of how a business runs. I spent those months building exits. Every operational system ran through components I owned. Through my LLC, Patterson Strategic Systems, formed 2 years back when I first heard Patricia's name. I'm not stupid, been in this industry long enough to know how it goes. The visionary shows up, the engineers disappear. Before long, you're embracing change while your server room gets outsourced to some kid who learned Python last week. So I built insurance. Every system ran through licenses I controlled, used with permission. Permission I could revoke with 24 hours notice. The buyer didn't know that yet. I drove to my storage unit, pulled out the binder I'd prepped when acquisition talks first started, labeled it in Sharpie, in case of incompetence. Inside, patent filings, licensing docs, my LLC registration, every system contract that quietly ran through Patterson Strategic Systems. I'd modularized everything, made it elegant, legal. Nobody noticed because they just saw faster systems and thought they'd been blessed. Every dependency ran through my company, hidden in plain sight. By the time I got home and made coffee, black, no sugar, emails were already coming in. Legal, confirming receipt, reviewing immediately. Procurement. Can you clarify licensing ownership of the analytics layer? There it was, the first crack. The legal team went silent when they opened my email. My name carries weight. 19 years of weight. Subject line, Clause 7, reputational breach. They thought it was a mistake at first. Then they saw the screenshot, Brianna's face, that caption, finally running this empire, time-stamped, public, posted during an active acquisition, before the deal closed. Someone whispered, "Oh my God." Clause 7 wasn't decorative. The buyer's lawyers wrote it after 3 weeks of negotiations. It was a nuclear option. Any executive or affiliated party causing reputational harm or misrepresenting operational control meant immediate contract withdrawal, buyer's discretion, no appeals. They printed it out, highlighted in yellow, circled in red, running this empire. A junior counsel asked, maybe she meant it ironically. Beverly Lawson, the lifer paralegal, didn't look up. Irony doesn't hold up in court, perception does. And perception just went viral. The problem wasn't just the caption, it was who posted it, where, and when. The CEO's daughter. Day one of a $520 million acquisition. From the senior VP of systems desk, the guy who built every system the buyer was acquiring, Brianna had declared herself in charge of something she had zero control over. With a digital footprint you could see from space. Geotags, timestamps, IP address from the company network. They ran a background check, took 50 minutes. Her socials were wealth flexing, resort selfies, and bad takes on entrepreneurship. The post had already been shared on a VC meme account with 120,000 followers. The buyer's lawyers would see it within the hour. By 10:23 a.m., legal escalated to Patricia Caldwell. Subject, urgent, clause 7. Triggered, buyer exposure. Risk screenshot attached, clause quoted in full. Language like material breach and contract nullification. Read receipt on. Patricia read it at 10:27. By 10:29, no response. When the CEO doesn't reply to that email, you're not dealing with leadership. You're dealing with someone calculating how to spin a lie before everything collapses. They forwarded it up the board chain. Directors started replying. Is this a joke? Who approved this? Who is Brianna? Why is Neil gone? Nobody had answers, because the only person who could answer had already walked out. By 11:15 a.m., the buyer went silent. Integration calls canceled. Calendar invites vanished. The shared Slack channel turned into a graveyard. Just the quiet of high-level lawyers closing ranks. The first official message came at 11:32 a.m., a terse email from the buyer's external counsel, addressed to Patricia Caldwell, CCing half the known universe. Subject, urgent clarification request, social media. Post attached. We have become aware of a public social media post referencing operational control of your company from an individual not listed on the transition org chart. Please advise 1. The identity and title of Brianna Caldwell. 2. Her current role and responsibilities. And 3. Whether the statement, finally running this empire, was made in jest or represents an internal shift in authority. We are halting integration discussions pending written clarification. No greeting, no signature. Just legal knives on the table. Patricia didn't respond for 50 minutes. When she finally did, it was exactly what you'd expect from someone who thought Instagram clout outweighed corporate governance. The individual in question is my daughter, Brianna Caldwell. She has no formal title or authority within the organization. The post was an unfortunate attempt at humor and does not reflect the views or operational structure of the company. We are addressing the matter internally. Please advise next steps. She didn't deny it, just tried to shrink it. Make it a harmless joke from a kid who didn't know better. But by then, Brianna wasn't just a name. She was a cautionary tale trending on LinkedIn. Screenshots don't get deleted. Someone flagged the post to a mid-tier logistics influencer. God help us, they exist. And it took off. Within the hour, the caption was everywhere. Yaz, Nepo, CEO, or due diligence matters. Yaz, this is why we have clauses. The buyer's internal chat, which I still had access to through a credential I'd never surrendered, was melting down. One message from their head of risk. Is this real? They let the CEO's daughter sit at the SVP's desk on day one? Brianna, completely unaware, was still wandering the office barefoot, complaining about the cold brew selection, asking how to log into the admin thingy, when Patricia finally pulled her into the glass-walled office and hissed, "Delete the post." Now, Brianna blinked like a confused deer. Why? It got like 2,400 likes. Patricia grabbed the phone from her hand. Didn't matter. The internet had already archived it, reposted it, cross-posted it. One version had a mock inspirational background with a clown emoji watermark. The buyer sent another note at 2:06 p.m. Pending resolution of this issue, all onboarding activities are suspended. Please refrain from contacting our implementation team until further notice. Panic spread through the building. Directors paced hallways. Someone was spotted. Googling, "Can a clause really cancel a deal?" Patricia still thought she could smile through it. Still believed her PowerPoint charisma could override a paper trail of incompetence. She stood in front of the executive team that afternoon. "Let's not overreact. This is optics. We still have leverage." Someone coughed. Because everyone knew, leverage doesn't come from pretending nothing happened. Leverage comes from knowing who controls the foundation. And I'd already walked off with the blueprints. The emergency board call was scheduled for 4 p.m. By 3:59, 5 directors were in the virtual waiting room, mics off, cameras dark, breathing heavy. Leonard Fisher, the oldest and meanest, signed on last. Squinting at the screen like it owed him money, Patricia logged in, smile ready. Brianna nowhere in sight. "Let's begin," she said. "We're not beginning anything," Angela Torres snapped. Head of Risk Oversight, voice flat. "We're cleaning up." "We need to start with an answer," Leonard said. "Why the hell is your daughter posting from Neil Patterson's desk? Who gave her access? And why wasn't it revoked immediately?" Patricia adjusted her collar. There was no formal access granted. It was casual. She didn't log into any systems. "Nobody cares if she touched a keyboard," Angela said. She posted a public statement implying executive control during an active acquisition. "Do you understand what that looks like?" It was a misunderstanding. "Do you understand what Clause 7 says?" Kenneth Hughes asked. "Have you even read it since you signed?" Patricia opened her mouth. Another voice cut in. "Where's Neil?" "Richard Palmer, the board's most careful operator." Quiet voice. Dangerous question. "Neil has stepped away briefly," Patricia said. "He what?" Leonard's face reddened. "He's the only person who understands the integration stack. We can't answer a single buyer question without him. I'll reach out to him directly." "Don't bother," Angela muttered. "He already sent the buyer's lawyers that email. You think he's coming back for a meeting?" Silence. The kind where everyone's searching for a scapegoat. "I need a list," Leonard said. "Every system he touched, every vendor contract he approved, every patent or license tied to his name, or any entity he's affiliated with." Patricia swallowed. "We have some of that. Procurement is compiling." "Don't say some," Richard snapped. "We're flying blind. I just got off a call with Luxec. Their integration team asked 3 basic questions about the middleware structure. We had nobody who could answer." Patricia tried to rally. "I'm handling it. We've got a strong foundation. The buyer will understand this." "Was isolated?" "Isolated?" Angela leaned forward. "The buyer suspended all communication." "That's not isolated. That's a chokehold." Kenneth's voice was measured. "Deadly. They've pulled out of 3 scheduled site visits." Their tone shifted. "They're using words like governance failure and brand risk. This isn't just about Brianna. It's about leadership. And you still haven't answered the basic question," Leonard said. "Who let your kid into an executive desk on day 1 of a $520 million acquisition? Who gave her a badge?" Patricia hesitated. "She borrowed my credentials." The silence was absolute. "Jesus Christ," someone whispered. A junior board member unmuted. "So, you're saying your unvetted, untrained daughter represented herself as an executive using your login credentials?" Patricia didn't answer. Because there was no answer that didn't sound like gross negligence wrapped in nepotism. The board erupted, muted shouts, raised hands. One director left the call entirely. The CFO spoke, voice thin. "We don't know who controls what anymore. Legal can't map the contracts without Neil. IT says the analytics layer might be licensed through an external entity. Finance is chasing ghosts." "What entity?" Leonard barked. "Who owns it?" A pause. Then someone said it. "Patterson Strategic Systems. Neil's Consulting LLC." Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Patricia sat there, blinking, sweating. The walls weren't closing in. They were already gone. At 7:42 a.m. the next morning, a courier delivered an envelope to legal, by hand. Wax seal, signature required, notice of material breach, Clause 7, enforcement from Marston and Holler, LLP, representing Luxec Industrial Holdings. The letter was surgical. Based on documented public misrepresentation of authority, Luxec exercises its contractual right to halt acquisition proceedings effective immediately, pending internal investigation. Our client reserves the right to terminate the agreement in full without financial penalty. Legal brought it straight to the executive floor. Patricia scanned it, lips pressed thin, skin pale. "It's not final," she mumbled. "They invoked Clause 7, Angela said, tossing the second page on the table. "That is final. There's no renegotiation language. It's an eject lever. You pulled it." "I didn't pull anything," Patricia said. "He did. But the trap I laid wasn't just an email. That was the mousetrap clicking. The spring was still coming. By mid-morning, procurement finally dug up the full systems integration plan, the one I'd filed during early merger prep. It had been ignored because too technical, and Neil handles it. Now it was required. Reading. Page 14. Appendix. A clause so ordinary-looking you'd miss it completely. All middleware components supporting core logistics systems shall be licensed through Patterson Strategic Systems, LLC, with exclusive rights for deployment, adaptation, and modification. Someone read it aloud slowly. Patterson Strategic Systems. Is that Neil? Yes. It was me. I'd built every line of code keeping their systems running. The fail-safes, the vendor logic, the routing algorithm the buyer called mission critical in 3 separate emails. And my LLC was quietly written into the heart of the acquisition. Nobody questioned it, because it came from me. And who questions Neil Patterson? Patricia's face went white. That was supposed to be scrubbed before submission. I asked Ops to sanitize that document. "It's not scrubbed," Leonard said, holding up a printed copy. "It's filed, digitally time-stamped, approved by 3 department heads and the merger task force." Patricia stood. "We can amend it, remove it, issue a revised plan." "You're not listening," Angela said. "The buyer already has this version. It was sent during due diligence. They built their integration map on this plan. It's not a draft. It's foundation." Patricia turned to legal. "Can we stop him? Legally, is he allowed to hold our architecture hostage?" Legal flipped through the binder, sweating. "Technically, we don't own the middleware layer. We license it from his LLC." Patricia's voice cracked. "Then cancel the license." The attorney blinked. He included a survivability clause. Even if the deal collapses, license terms remain enforceable. Revocation requires mutual consent. Patricia sat down hard. Nobody moved, because they all knew what had just happened. The deal wasn't simply halted, it had been checkmated, not by an angry board, not by a screaming buyer, by a man who never raised his voice, never made a scene, and never fought for credit. Just control, and I had it. Every switch, every login key, every line of logic they had promised Luxec. Mine. Patricia paced her office like a caged animal. "Just make it go away. Tell Luxec we'll revise everything. Issue an apology, whatever it takes." Legal looked exhausted. "We can't. Clause 7 doesn't negotiate. It activates. They don't have to talk to us. They can walk away entirely." "What about damages? Can we sue Neil for breach?" "He didn't breach anything. He followed every protocol, submitted every document. His LLC disclosure was legal and visible. It was in the appendix." "What are we telling investors?" Patricia asked the CFO. "Nothing yet, but they're calling, and they're angry." Vendor partners started backing away. Contracts under reevaluation, support tickets getting closed, account termination requests flooding in. One logistics partner sent a blunt reply. "We trusted Neil. We don't trust you. Call us when he's back." Patricia rubbed her temples. "We need to stabilize this. Reassure the buyer." "They don't want reassurance," Angela said. "They want out. You gave them the legal opening. Your daughter gave them the public justification." Full minute of silence. Then Richard, voice cold. "Why wasn't Brianna on a formal employment contract?" "She was just shadowing, informal, no paperwork." "Then who approved her building access, her badge, facilities?" I don't know. Then we are the breach, Richard said. Not Neil, not even Brianna. You gave an unvetted outsider access during an acquisition. Clause 7 doesn't care if it's your daughter or the janitor. It only cares about reputational harm. And this is front-page embarrassment. Patricia's phone lit up. A message from the buyer's rep. 2 words, termination review. She didn't read it aloud. The implosion had begun. The boardroom was sealed. No assistants, no laptops. Just the board, 2 lawyers, and a single agenda. At 9:01 a.m., Leonard opened the meeting. Let's get surgical. First item, Brianna. Effective immediately, Brianna Caldwell is banned from all company premises, systems, and communications. Unanimous, no hesitation. Second item, Patricia. Angela spoke. Ms. Caldwell. Based on the material breach under your leadership, the board recommends administrative leave effective immediately. Pending investigation. Patricia's voice shook. I've been scapegoated. You gave your unvetted daughter access during a $520 million acquisition, Richard said. That's not scapegoating, that's self-destruction. A vote was called, 7 hands raised. By 9:08 a.m., Patricia was escorted out by HR. Badge disabled, calendar revoked. A cardboard box waiting at her office door. Leonard turned to the group. Next, contact Neil Patterson. Richard pulled out his phone. Already sent the request. He responded. Wants it in writing. They drafted the email together. Every word carefully chosen. Subject. Request for clarification and re-engagement. Neil, board would like to request your participation in a confidential session regarding your systems integration plan and associated IP rights. We understand recent events have caused strain, but we believe your expertise is critical to mitigating damage. Please let us know your availability at your earliest convenience. Sent, delivered, read. The reply came in 10 minutes. Short, clean, unmistakable. My intent was to prevent damage. Your CEO's daughter beat me to it. No greeting, no sign-off. The room went quiet. Leonard finally spoke. Well, he's not coming back with apologies. Nervous laughter. The kind that comes when you've dodged a bullet but know another's coming. But they understood now. I hadn't just protected myself. I'd protected the company better than any of them. I'd laid out a perfect exit path. They hadn't taken it. They'd taken Patricia's. Now they were offering me power they should have granted months ago. Do we negotiate? One board member asked. No, Richard said. We concede. He hasn't made demands, Angela added. He doesn't have to, Leonard. Aw replied. That was the demand. They sat there, realizing they had tried to replace the backbone of the company with a TikTok influencer who couldn't spell logistics. Now the man they'd sidelined had all the leverage, the code, the legal standing, the buyer's respect, and their complete attention. The virtual meeting opened with a polite chime. On one side, the full board, carefully positioned, stone-faced. On the other, Arthur Brennan from Luxec Industrial Holdings. Tight-lipped, impeccably dressed, clearly deciding whether the ashes could be salvaged. And then I appeared. No fanfare, just my webcam. Clean room behind me, half-empty coffee mug in front. I didn't speak, didn't wave. Arthur broke the silence. Mr. Patterson, thank you for agreeing to meet. I nodded once. He continued. I'll be direct. Luxec is still interested in your system. We believe in its integrity, despite the complications on your former employer's end. He paused. I didn't fill the space. Would you be willing to license your system to us independently, directly through your LLC? I didn't blink. Yes. A pause. The board exhaled too soon. Then I added, 4 times the original licensing rate. Richard tried to interrupt. Arthur raised a hand. And, I said, I want a seat on the board, not advisory, full voting rights, or no deal. Long silence. Arthur turned to the board. No objections. Not after the month they'd had. Leonard muttered, motion to approve. Seconded, Angela said. Confirmed, Richard added. I didn't react, didn't thank them, just nodded, and clicked leave meeting, without a word. That afternoon, Patricia Caldwell's termination was finalized. The press release used standard language, pursuing new opportunities, grateful for her service. Internally, it was cleaner. Access revoked. Name removed from Slack. Email forwarded to IT. Her photo in the executive hallway taken down and replaced with a stock image of a warehouse. The company rebooted. New leadership, new structure, new terms. I didn't return as an employee. I didn't want the parking space or the corner office or the catered lunches. I wanted ownership, and I got it. Across the industry, the message spread quietly but clearly. Neil Patterson wasn't just back. He was the system now. If you wanted access to the logistics platform that ran half the industry, you came to me, on my terms. The deal with Luxec closed 6 weeks later, restructured, new licensing agreement, 4 times the original rate, paid quarterly in advance, non-negotiable terms. My LLC maintained exclusive rights to all core systems. Any modifications required my approval. Any deployment needed my authorization. The board seat came with full voting rights. No advisory nonsense. Real power. I attended my first board meeting 2 months after Patricia's exit. Leonard nodded when I walked in. Angela gave a tight smile. Richard just said, "Neil, no fanfare, no welcome speech, just business." Exactly how I wanted it. The meeting covered Q4 projections, vendor contracts, system upgrades, normal operations. At one point, someone suggested bringing in a consultant to streamline legacy processes. I didn't raise my voice, just said, "Those legacy processes are mine. They work. Touch them, and you'll find out what legacy really costs." The suggestion died immediately. After the meeting, Leonard pulled me aside. "You could have destroyed us completely. Why didn't you?" I looked at him. "Because I built this place. 19 years. I don't want to watch it burn. I just want to make sure idiots can't burn it down." He nodded slowly. "Fair enough. Besides," I added, "it's more profitable this way." That got a slight smile. Brianna's post became a case study. I heard from 3 different business schools asking permission to use it in their governance classes. I said yes, on one condition. They had to cite Clause 7 in full and explain why due diligence matters. The story spread through industry circles like wildfire, not because I promoted it, because people talk. Every CEO with a relative they wanted to give a chance suddenly got very nervous about their merger contracts. Every board started asking questions about who actually owned their core systems. Every legal team began reading the fine print at 2 in the morning. Good. Patricia landed at a mid-tier consulting firm, took a 60% pay cut. Her LinkedIn updated with the usual positive spin about new chapters and exciting challenges. Brianna kept posting, different companies, same content. But someone must have warned her, because the post stayed vague. No more location tags, no more claims about running anything. Her follower count dropped by 40,000. Turns out people don't want leadership advice from someone who cost her mother a $520 million deal. 6 months after everything settled, I got an email from a startup in Seattle. Subject: Clause 7 consultation request. They'd just been acquired. New CEO wanted to bring in her nephew as head of innovation. The board was nervous. They wanted me to review their acquisition agreement and add protective language. I tripled my consulting rate. They paid it. Within a year, I had 12 companies on retainer. All of them wanted the same thing: insurance against incompetence. Legal language that protected the people who actually built the systems from the people who just wanted to run them. I called it the Patterson Protocol. It wasn't fancy, just clear language that specified ownership, authority, and accountability. With automatic termination clauses if anyone misrepresented operational control. Clause 7 on steroids. Every contract included one non-negotiable term. If the clause gets triggered, I get paid. Win or lose, succeed or fail, my fee was guaranteed. Because the real value wasn't in preventing disasters. It was in making sure someone competent was still standing when the dust settled. By the end of the 2nd year, my LLC was generating more revenue than my old salary. By the 3rd year, it was 4 times more. I worked from home, set my own hours, took the projects I wanted. No office politics, no performative meetings, no executives asking me to circle back on things they should have read the first time. Just clean contracts, clear terms, and companies willing to pay for someone who actually knew what they were doing. One evening, I was on my porch, storm rolling in across the fields, thunder in the distance. coffee in hand, black, no sugar. My laptop buzzed. Another consultation request, then another. A Fortune 500 company, a logistics startup, an industrial manufacturer, all of them with the same basic problem. They'd built something valuable and were terrified someone incompetent would destroy it. I didn't smile, just opened the first email and started reading. This was the job now, not building systems, building protection for the people who did, making sure that when some executive's kid decided to play CEO on social media, there was a clause waiting. Page 46, highlighted in pink. Ready to detonate. The rain started, soft at first, then steady. I stayed on the porch and watched it come in. 19 years I'd spent making that company run, building every system, fixing every failure, working weekends while executives took credit in Monday meetings. They thought I was replaceable, thought my experience didn't matter, thought a 24-year-old with a ring light could do what I did. One clause proved them wrong. One email made them pay attention. One negotiation made them pay. Period. I took a sip of coffee, still hot. The consulting requests kept coming in, and I kept my rates high, because competence isn't cheap, but incompetence, that's expensive as hell, and I'd just proven exactly how much it costs. They spent 19 years thinking I was replaceable. Turns out the company wasn't, but I was irreplaceable, and now everyone knew it.